Hey everyone, I'm Bianca. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing two makeovers from a couple of items that I found, one on clearance from Hobby Lobby and the other from Goodwill. So let's go ahead and get started. Guys, so for the first DIY, I purchased this sign at Hobby Lobby on clearance for $3.99. And I used it for a while with this wording on it, but now I want to do a makeover on it. Instead of throwing it away, I can totally repurpose it. And I'm just going to paint over it and put different wording on it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the trim alone because I really like that trim color. So everything that you see here, I have in my Amazon store, including this green stencils. I'm going to use a couple of stencils, and so is this chalk paint. And so is little paint tray, and so are my Martha Stewart stencil brushes. Now, you don't have to use everything that I'm using here. The basic things you need is just the black and white paint, the sponge brushes you can get from the Dollar Tree, and you can also use the sponge brushes to paint in your stencils. Just be very careful and make sure you take off the excess paint from the stencil. That way it won't bleed through. And then I'm going to be using this stencil as well. As you can see, I've used it a lot. I've cut out letters just to make it easier for me. And I believe this one I got from Walmart. You can check Walmart out. They do have quite a few stencils on there as well. Alright, so this is already dry. Now we're going to do these stencils. I'm just going to play around with them and move them where I want them to go. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the black chalk paint and start to dab it. The best advice for stenciling is to make sure you only have a tiny bit on your brush. Make sure you dab on a thin layer, and then if you need more, then grab a little bit more. Because if you put too much on the brush or the sponge brush, then it's gonna bleed through. But I just grabbed a piece of tape, just stuck the stencil letters together. That way I can kind of get a better feel of placing it in the middle. Okay, so now that I'm using the green stencil, just using the edges of the stencil to line it up and make sure it's straight. And then I also grabbed a bigger stencil brush. Okay, so I told y'all it was gonna go in my guest bathroom, and I just set it right here on this little shelf with just some Dollar Tree hydrangeas. And inside of that, this was from the Target dollar spot for $1. So I think it came out really cute. I'm getting the hang of using the stencils. The best thing to do is, even though you have a tiny bit of paint on your stencil brush, you can dab hard too. You don't have to dab lightly. And as long as you have a tiny bit of paint on it, it won't bleed through. So alright, these are the next two items that I found at Goodwill. They're just two really old school type sconces. They're about $2.99 each, and what I want to do is go ahead and remove these old little candle holders attached to it at the top, sand them down. I believe I'm going to be using these two paints, just the Apple Barrel White and the Appleberry Timeless Gray. And then I'm just going to be using my new Renaissance brush that I told you guys about in my last video, and it's linked below. I got some sanding paper that I'm going to use to sand by hand. Once I've painted it all, now I have two options. I have, depending on how it looks once it's done, I have this little, I think it's one of those like wax warmers from the Dollar Tree, but I'm not going to use this side. I'm going to turn it this way. If I end up using this one, I will turn it this way and put it on top right here. And the other option is this other candle holder, and it's black. Okay, so I already sanded them down. I don't know if you can tell. I did as best as I could, and then I just wiped off all the wood dust. On the sides, I made sure to really give that 2 to 3 coats, just depending on how it covered. I'm just taking a little bit of gray that I already showed you, and then some brown. And I'm just gonna lightly go over it with a smaller bristle brush, just because I want to concentrate on smaller strokes. I don't want to use my big old Renaissance brush. So look how they turned out, guys. I didn't expect it to come out so rustic looking, but I'm really happy that I went with that because I don't have anything in my house that's super rustic. This will definitely look better with this on top right here. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take the E6000 industrial glue. Use that for a really maximum hold. That will hold within 24 to 72 hours, but I'm also gonna use my hot glue so it can hold right now. All right, you guys, so hopefully you can see that well because it's super early right now. I just hung one up on the left side and I haven't hung up the other one on the right side yet because I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it here just because my TV is right here. But I told you before, maybe a few videos ago, that my husband is going to move the TV and hang it up somewhere else, and then I can have this whole fireplace right here to put decor. So this will be a perfect place to add both of them right here, or you can even hang them somewhere on your wall side by side. not too close to each other. I think that will look really cute too. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.